Now, there's been lots of talk lately about power outs during this coming winter. Shortage of gas, shortage of fuel, high prices on everything. It's getting a little bit silly, and I just want to be cautious. So we decided to get a power backup for the house. We don't want to install a Tesla wall or anything like that. Far too expensive. We can't afford anything like that. So the obvious choice seemed to go with electric and these lithium battery solar generators, as they call them. Now, the only problem with that, well, there's two problems with it actually. Firstly, I live in Manchester, see wet ground all around me here. We don't get enough sunshine to fill up. I'd probably need 4 of the panels if I was to get one of the Jackery units, which is what I was looking at. You're looking at a good £2,000 there for the equivalent of a quite cheap petrol generator. Now, you could also argue the environmental aspects of that. Well, you know, the electric's greener than the petrol. It's not actually. If you look at the way the lithium batteries are made, and just the whole unit itself, lots of electronics in it. Lithium has to be mined, and you know what I mean. It's the green argument's out the window for me. I need something reliable, something sustainable, and so I've gone with petrol. So let's have a look at the generator I've chosen here. The price difference, which was the biggest factor for me really, easily £2,000, maybe more for the electric setup that I was looking at. £289. Now, whatever your currency is, dollars or whatever, you can see the difference between 2,000 and 289. So I went with the cheap option. I'm very cheap. So this is it. It's the Bohmer. It's a German made. I like German technology, German engineering. Very good. I don't know how they lost the war, to be honest. AG gasoline generator. 65,000 watt E. It's the electric version, which means it's got an electric start on it. Ideal, because I've got an elderly mother and she's going to need to start this sometimes. So let's get it open. Free piece of plywood, never argue at that. I think the first thing to say here is nicely packed. It was delivered by FedEx, and they deliver, the fellow that was telling me, he's delivered quite a few for them. And as you can see, all perfectly intact. Even these small plastic, these are for the 12 volt DC that comes out of it. They're all intact. It's been well enough packed. I'm happy with that. You saw the piece of wood on the top. It was only thin foam at the front, but yeah, happy with that. I'm just going to lift it out of this box. It is quite heavy. I think it's about 3 kilograms. I don't know what that is. I was taught pounds and ounces. But one person can lift it. It's a strain, but you can do, and you can move it about, so it's not too bad. I'll get this box out of the way, then we'll come back. Now, you've got all the safety warnings here, obviously. It does emit carbon monoxide, which is deadly, so you can't use it indoors, which is a downside from the electric solar generators, I suppose. Although you don't want lithium batteries in your house because they explode as well, you know. So one way or the other, you're knackered. So it has to be used outside and away from windows and doors, which I will do. I'll install all that as and when. It's a nice looking. You've got 230 volts. It'll probably come out about 240 volts anyway. You've got your voltmeter there, or voltometer as they used to call them. That's the electric, the battery for the electric ignition, which is there. But first of all, before you use it, you need to put oil in and obviously petrol. So at the side is, you've got electric ignition, but in case the battery's flat, if you've had it in storage for a bit, the battery could well be flat. You have got the pull cord to pull start it. Obviously, we'll try that later on, but we are going to start with the electric ignition. You've got your air filter here, which will need replacing as and when, but your mileage may vary. This at the back here is the where your spark plug is. It's a 4-stroke engine, and this is your throttle, so you'll be able to adjust the throttle yourself if you make any slight modifications, which in a future video I will be doing, so make sure you are subscribed, because we'll be looking at ways of making this more efficient and getting a little bit extra out of it. This is why I can't have solar. Just had to stop for the rain. So let's get the battery wired. Okay, now you do get some wires in the pack with crocodile clips on them that you can connect to these batteries here. That's to charge it from here. It is not to connect the battery up to the generator. You will find up here is some wires tucked away. You pull them out and you got your positive and your negative there. So we're just going to go and fix, obviously, the positive to the positive of the battery and the negative to the negative of the battery. Raining again, but never mind. Okay, so you'll get a little bag of with 2 nuts and 2 bolts in it. Take that out of the packaging, and with wet hands remove the plunger. It's made for outdoor use, so we're alright. I shouldn't die. I'll tighten that up with a screwdriver later. Pull the plastic plunger off. Careful not to short. I should have probably done this one first, because it's awkward reaching past the negative now. So if you do it, make sure you do the positive one first. It is tricky with those wires stuck away up there like that, because you can easily miss them. And then get the plastic cap over it, especially if you're in a rainy environment like I am. Okay, let's get the oil and the petrol in. Rain's back again, and this is typical skies where I am. So I'll have a carry it on if it doesn't get too dark in a short while, or you'll see me tomorrow. Right, rain's eased off again. First thing you got to do is put oil in. This is 15-40. It's not the exact what they recommend, but it's the cheapest, so we're going with that. It will cut off at low oil, so it's a bit of a safety feature. It doesn't come with a little filter for helping you get it in, which is very annoying. It claims to have a oil dipstick. You can quite clearly see there. That's not an oil dipstick, it's just a cap. So I'm just going to fill it up to the threads. This is annoying. I'm going to have to use a jug. Right, we'll improvise. I'll use the Petrol filler cap. Starting to leak out already. So I'm not happy with this oil filling. It's not up to the threads. It's taking a fair bit of oil. Just over 300 millilitres up to now. And that's coming up to the threads. Okay. Put the dipstick back in. And now we'll get some fuel in. I'm not going to fill it up all the way. It's got a filter in there, that's good. Fuel's extremely expensive at the moment, so not exactly an economy thing if you're hoping to do things economically. Okay, that'll do for now. I'm only testing it. Okay, so we're all fueled up. Checklist. Check engine oil level. Well, we're fine with that. Gas level. Gasoline. Fine. Unplug electric devices. Haven't got any fuel on. Easier said than done. Read it now. Right. Fuel's on. And close choke. I think we're ready. Okay. So 240 volts. Open the choke. Okay, we're looking good there. It's quite loud actually, it's louder than I expected. Next we'll get some tests on the go. Okay, so that's the Bohmer-AG W series 6500W -E model, because it's got the electric ignition. That was £289. You can get it for about £230 without the electric key ignition. So if that's not important to you, you can save a fair bit of money on that. I'd get it just because, you know. The battery does have to be connected up to the 12 volt output to be recharged. I'm going to show all that in the next video, where I'm going to test out the operating voltages and test that everything coming out is what they say they are. Give it a full test on how many appliances I can run at once and what appliances. My main purpose is going to be to run the fridge off it, the CCTV, and a couple of lights, which are just going to be plug-in lights. So it should be able to handle that no problem, but I'll push it to its limits and see what it can run. See if it can run a modern day PC as well. Not much point in being able to run that if there's no internet, but we'll see. You could use internet through your mobile, I suppose. Create a hotspot, a Wi-Fi hotspot of your mobile. So there may be a use case scenario for running a full desktop PC. Quite happy with the generator actually. It's high quality. It's copper wound. Rather than what you've seen a lot recently with where they're using aluminium. You see this in just normal cables, even your USB cables and everything, where they're using aluminium instead of copper. Maybe I'm just old-fashioned, but I prefer copper. I think it operates better. So it's high quality. I'm happy with that. The only criticism I've got of this is the oil tank, and they don't supply you with a funnel for the oil tank, and it is set quite far back into the generator. So to refill the oil, I actually used, as you can see here, the nozzle from the petrol can, and I mean it worked, and I did discover just after doing it that way actually that will screw onto the top of the oil bottle, so makes it a little bit easier. But the end of it is too big to go inside the oil, you know, the hole where you put the oil in. So a little bit disappointed with that, although, you know, not a showstopper. There is a way around it, but you do end up leaking oil out while you're trying to fill it, so not ideal. Probably going to get a funnel for that. A lot of generators do come with those included, even the really small portable ones, so I think it wouldn't be too much to ask for them to include that, especially with the way it is located on the generator. Other than that, I'm very happy with it. It's got an 11 litre fuel tank, which they say will run for 10 hours. I will test that out as well. And what I'm going to do as well in future videos, it won't be the next one because I'll just be testing the output as it is now, but I'll be looking at ways of improving it. Running different things into the air filter and stuff like that. So make sure you're subscribed. I think you'll find that quite interesting. If you're running any petrol, diesel generator, whatever, this will help to improve, maybe get more than 10 hours out of a fuel of tank. 10 hours isn't perfect because you can, you know what I mean, if your power's out for a couple of days, you're only going to be able to run it 10 hours at a time, then you have to turn it off, refuel it. It's not a big deal, but you could also extend the fuel tank just by adding, you know, a jerry can on top of it and having that connected permanently into it somehow. A bit of messing about, but just going to see if I can make it run a little bit differently so that you don't, you know, with the 11 litre tank that's on it, maybe we can get that up to 14-15 hours run time. Also, I've got to house it, you know, put a housing in. It's got to be outdoors, so I'm going to build a little enclosure for it. That'll be another video, so stay tuned, and we'll see what improvements we can make. And if you've got any ideas or suggestions for improvements, in particular for the enclosure that I'm going to have to build for it, then please do leave comments down below and let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching.